Now, during the COVID-19 lockdown period, musician Zoë Modiga released an award-winning album titled Inganekwane. It has some of our favorite songs, including Umdali, Abantu, Unembeza, and my personal favorite, Impilo, just to name a few. She traveled the world with the band, performing her urban folk songs, and she's currently on one of the final laps of her cherished Inganekwane tour. She has upcoming shows in major cities, including Cape Town, Durban and Ekurhuleni. For more on the journey gone by and possibly the journey ahead, the sensational artist Zoë Modiga joining us now via our video link. And it's so great to speak to you, Zoë. I'm tempted to start by saying Kwasuka Sugela, because that's exactly that's really been what's characterized your latest tour, as it were. It's this storytelling that you are taking on as part of your journey. And I wonder how you feel about how you've been received, because I've heard really amazing compliments about you. You've been compared to the likes of a Brenda Fassie fused with a Mambusi Mhlongo, people who obviously inspired what you do today.
Absolutely. I think for me it always has been just taking that greatness that comes from the cultural icons and the titans like Umamure Makeba, like Mamleta Mbodu, Lebo Mathosa, Brenda Fassie. These are artists that I grew up listening to. And I think part of what I really enjoyed about them was their consciousness when it came to reflecting the times and the societies, that they were reflecting the times from, So it's beautiful to be compared to them, but I definitely know that I'm very excited to be representing what the modern African story is.
Absolutely. In fact, you're being held up as, what perhaps jazz looks like in this country, in our era, in our generation. But I want to take a couple of steps back. Place us in the room during that lockdown period when you started this process of putting together Inganekwane.
Oh, goodness. I think it's always very difficult to kind of relay the creative experience for me. I usually find that it puts me in a trance and I'm not necessarily able to remember it. But I just remember playing with my guitar and these songs flooding in like a waterfall. And it felt like I had observed enough, I had experienced enough, and the moment of being able to download the music was then happening. You know? So that's what it really feels like for me. And it was such a beautiful time to make that music that was very uncomfortable for me to make. It was the first album that I made predominantly in my mother tongue, isiZulu, and it was really at a time where I was trying to make sense of what identity is to me, what being a black body is to me, and for it to have meant what it meant during the conversations that were happening in 2020 and moving forward about just human existence was so beautiful to me. I could not have seen that coming, and I think it really helped to know that it came from an uncomfortable place, but it also settled into the lives and the hearts of people.
Absolutely, and that's why people have responded the way they had. I mean, it's filled with prayers to God, prayers to our ancestors. It's filled with affirmation, especially for young people. I mean, Inganekwane is part of what you say in some of those songs. And I wonder what you're hoping, or what you were hoping would land for people who experienced the album itself, Did you have any kind of, response you were hoping for?
Well, I think for me, growing up with the kind of cultural icons like I mentioned earlier, there was always that real want and desire to evoke people, to evoke people's emotions, to be impactful in people's spaces, to be the soundtrack to people's lives, because a lot of the music that I grew up listening to held the same for me. But I think I've found, especially with the Sophomore album, that it's important to create and then let the music do what the music does. I am not necessarily the mastermind. I believe that I'm the vessel of these messages. And I know that because I'm not the only artist who released the kind of album that I released in 2020. There was Buhle Bendalo, there was Sibusile Faba, to name a few, who were actually speaking about the same things. So I think we download these messages and they land on us, and we really hope that it is something that is of safekeeping to the music lovers and they're able to make memories to it. And it really did exceed even my lack of expectation because people really did take it as their own. They did take these messages and continue to take these messages on their own, which for me is part of the reason of thanking the music lovers with the performances that we'll be doing.
Absolutely. In fact, gratitude is a big part of, I think, what you're about. Whether you're tweeting or singing, there's certainly that thread of you ubonga. In fact, impilo is about that, right? In some extent.
Absolutely.
Ubonga impilo, and what's come with it.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. I think for me there is nothing that I actually revere more than the human experience. I think it is something that we can all relate to because it is weird, it is wonderful, it is dynamic, it is vast, it is challenging, it is beautiful. So I really like to have that common thread in my music, that thread of gratitude, that reminding of people that yes, we are in this very interesting place called planet Earth, but with everything that it comes with, there is victory on the other side of all these things that we come across, you know. So I really think for me, it really is at the heart of everything, just being able to celebrate the human experience.
How much of that celebration do you reckon hinges on our ability to collaborate? You know, from when I started following your music, I think you were still busy with Siba Kapstad. I'm not sure if you're still part of that band. I think it was
absolutely.
Ndumiso Manana. And later on, I think one of your shows in Johannesburg, you collaborated with the amazing Keenan Meyer, right? And so I find that along the way, you certainly have, you know, an appreciation of what other artists can do, and there's a pouring into each other that happens, which really creates the magic we've been able to see you display to your audiences.
Absolutely. I've really been privileged to work with so many incredible musicians like Dr. Nduduzo Makhathini, Tupati Mpo Muloi, Munei, Keenan Meyer, who was at one of our shows, Desire Maria, to name a few. I think there's a lot of artists who are really so important to the conversations of this time, that are so important to the expressions that we get to share with people, the cultural fiber of what we're creating. And I think for me, it's really been more than an honor to learn from the people I've been collaborating with and to also allow them to pour into me as much as I would like to hope I pour into them as well. So it really is a beautiful thing when music puts us in a space of being able to share these common spaces, these messages, these urgencies that arise in all of us, and to be able to share those moments. So, it's been special. And I'm glad that that also translates not just to the recorded work, but also to a lot of the live performances.
Absolutely. Speaking about those live performances, anybody who's seen you on stage, I think will concede that at some stage, we are no longer just watching Zoe, but it's just some very multifaceted experience that is taking place. What goes on in your body, in your mind, do you reckon, in those moments when it feels that, you know, something else has taken over the space and we're all kind of partaking in that moment?
Well, I think you put it very well to say that we're all partaking in it. And I think the reason why people realize that there is something else that gets to be evoked is because I believe that it's something that we are sharing in the space. Meaning it's not just me who kind of comes into something surreal, but it's everyone in the audience who's experiencing the same for themselves. And then we are joining in the community of that, you know. It's not a time, when that happens, it's not a time that I'm fully conscious of, but it really is just that feeling of a spirited moment, a spirited magic that is being made. And again, I think it's just the power of music and its ability to reach further and deeper into who it is that we are as human beings. Before you're a janitor, before you're a CEO, there's that place that music is able to reach on a human level. And I think it's beautiful to then be carried away in that and be allowing of that to be what it is, because music is there to heal us, it connects us, it makes us see our similarities and our differences as well. You know, we get to really celebrate and evoke quite a bit of beauty in it.
Absolutely. And this album is filled with that beauty from the start till the very end. This is obviously a very subjective point of view. And we're spoiled the choice about which of the songs to hone in on. But tell us about Umdali. It's, you know, for many people, one of their favorite songs on this particular album.
For sure. Well, Umdali is a song that really talks about the God that creates And it also talks about how we are gods amongst each other and that we come from gods as a result. And it really does take from a biblical reference of being made in the image of something that is bigger than ourselves, but also recognizing that bigness in each other and knowing that we have been asked for, knowing that we have been chosen. I think we live in a society where we're always seeking outside of ourselves, me included. With the social media space, which is a beautiful tool for us to connect. It's also a space that creates a lot of disillusionment about who it is that we are and the deeper sense of who it is that we are as a people. So I really do enjoy what that song does in terms of reminding us that we are all a chosen people and that no one is just spectating the Zoë Modiga world, for example, when they come to our shows, but it really is just everyone being reminded of what it is that they carry and all the gifts that are there, and that everyone is there to occupy their space and not necessarily just be an observer of other people occupying their spaces.
Absolutely. I know I speak for many when I say we are very grateful for your gift and may your star continue to shine. Zoë Modiga, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Again, she's got shows still in Cape Town, Durban and Ekurhuleni. I'm sure details are on your social media platforms. But for now, Zoë Modiga, a musician, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us.